All right, let's talk about it. Let's talk about the knife market. Let's talk about flipping and prices and all these things. What's going on, guys? Carter here with Edge Mindset. This is a video I did not plan on doing today. I received some messages from somebody I talked to online. He's a follower of the channel, longtime follower of the channel, big Strider fanatic. And he sent me a message in response to a comment I left on another Facebook group. So if you're not part of like the whole Facebook community, I know Facebook sucks. It really, really does. But if you use it for things like hobby groups, like knife collecting, it's still pretty cool. It's a very usable format for sharing pictures, ideas, comments, things like that. The groups are all private. Well, they can be private. Most of them are private, so other people aren't seeing your business. You can buy, sell, trade, talk, all that kind of stuff. So this is not meant to be a meta plug. I don't like meta, but for right now, in my humble opinion, Facebook groups for the knife community are still valuable and very, very cool. And I'm always surprised how many people I talk to on here that just aren't in those groups. But, you know, it's up to you. Anyways, I left a comment. Somebody was talking about flippers in the Sharp Eye Design group and how much they hate flippers and all these things. And I kind of did a counter response to that. I tend to be kind of contrarian. I love to debate, not in a mean way or an aggressive way, but I love to have these kind of conversations and kind of express the opposite opinions of things so that we can have a dialogue, that kind of stuff. So I left a comment essentially saying, if it wasn't for flippers, I wouldn't have the arch nemesis. I said it correctly, the arch nemesis that I have. And it's not that I like flippers. I just see them as it is what it is, right? It's not this like singular cancer that needs to be plucked out, right? It is an annoying part of speculative asset buying and selling and trading, and I'll talk on that here in a minute. But it is what it is. You can't have one thing without the other, and I'll explain that here in a second, right? So what are these, right? These are tools that can be used, and they're a disposable asset, right? You use the thing, you sharpen it, and eventually you run out of blade, and you get rid of it and you throw it away. Or it's a highly collectible, functional piece of art that has speculative money associated with it as part of the knife community. It's both of those things at the same time. That's why the knife thing is so dynamic and interesting. Because if you get into like Pokemon card collecting and trading, nobody looks at a Pokemon card as an actual functional thing. Everybody knows what they're looking at. It's a piece of paper with some foil on it, and we as people assign a value to that particular asset based on whatever, how rare it is, or usually rarity, but all kinds of things. And then we say, oh, well, this piece of paper is worth $500. This piece of paper is worth 5 cents, right? It's completely arbitrary. It's completely made up. We do the same thing in the knife community. It just gets a little funkier because it's also a tool. It's also a usable thing. So there's always this kind of clashing of how people look at these things. So essentially that's what this is, though. When we're talking about collectible knives, and really that's what I'm talking about here. I'm not talking about, Ozark Trail knives at Walmart. I'm not talking about even, when you get into like Spyderco's and some Benchmades and things, it gets it's a little in between. I'm talking about purely the collectible, speculative portion of knife collecting, right? The rare pieces, the cool Striders and all these things, which is why I have these here, as well as a production knife, because I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about that as well. So back to where I was. Sorry, I'm a little rambly. When we're talking about flippers, right? What are flippers? Flippers are not the driver for the market, right? It's easy to kind of conflate that, right? A lot of people are thinking, man, if we got rid of these flippers, the market would be better. That is a false statement. Flippers are a byproduct of the state of the market, right? Everybody wants the fantasy market where nobody's flipping knives. When you go to buy a knife, it's at retail or less than retail. But they also want, when they go to sell a knife, they want to get good money for it and get, retail or whatever it is. Those two things don't exist. It's all connected, right? Why do people flip knives? They flip knives because they can, because people are willing to pay for that knife. It's not some conspiracy group where flippers all get together and they come up with this elaborate plan to all work together to manipulate the market. They're individual people who buy a knife and then they realize, wow, I could make $300 if I sell this knife. Now, maybe they're thinking, if I couldn't make $300, if I could only get my money back, or if I was going to lose $100, I'm just going to keep the thing. The only reason they're willing to sell it in the first place is they can make money on it. I've been there. I've sold knives that I like and I would keep in my collection, but I see an opportunity to recoup some funds because most of the time I'm hemorrhaging money in this hobby. Every once in a while, if I get an opportunity to make a couple bucks, sometimes I take it. That's what they're doing. They're just individual people that are looking at the asset they have. They look at what the market value of that asset is, and they say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and sell it. Now, why would somebody be willing to pay extra money for a knife above retail? Because they feel that the market is saying it is worth that amount of money. And they feel that the speculation on that particular asset, the hype on that asset, makes it worth it. What drives that? Excess money, just like any market, right? We've got a bunch of money pumped into the economy. People have money to throw around. It makes its way down into things like collecting and knife hobbies and things like that. It's all connected. What are we facing now? A contraction, right? I don't want to say the R word publicly, but it's probably going to happen, right? We're probably headed there. I know some people will say we are already there. It all depends on how you look at it. But we're definitely in a contraction, and during a contraction, everything does just like the namesake says, it's going to contract, and we're going to see the opposite, right? We already are. People are complaining about, how bad the knife market is, right? You're not able to sell things easily. You're not getting money back for stuff that you are putting on the secondary market. I just find it funny because you've got people complaining about flippers and then you got people complaining about how they can't get money. It's all connected. You're going to see less and less flippers. You're going to see less and less hype, and you're going to see less and less recouping of funds in the secondary market, which in turn is going to affect how quickly things sell in stores. Like, it is what it is. You can literally match up the knife secondary market to like the S&P 500. Like, it's the same thing. It's all speculative assets. This knife is not worth anywhere near what it originally cost, let alone what you can get on the secondary market. It only has that value because we all agree it should have that value. And that's very volatile, especially when you're talking about things like a hobby like this. When economic times get bad, this is the first thing people cut out, is buying nonsensical objects that they used to covet. It's going to hit it hard. It's going to hit it disproportionately hard to everything else, right? These sort of things are going to get hit hard. You're going to see a massive change over the coming years in the knife collecting, buying, selling hobby, right? Everything's going to slow down. New knives are going to, I've talked about this before. New knives coming out are going to slow down. Number of retailers. You're going to see things on sale. You're going to see more coupon codes. You're going to see all that kind of stuff. Secondary prices are going to fall through the floor. I'm already seeing it. Things, and it's across the board is the other thing. I could say that the Strider market's more stable. I don't even know if that's necessarily true. It's just going to be affected disproportionately less, right? Over the last couple of years, something like a regular scapegoat would lose a huge amount of its value on the secondary market. We're seeing that even more now. I'm seeing, not this one, but like a plain tie scapegoat, new in box, $200. These things retail for like $325 or something like that. Just sitting there. Nobody wants it. Nobody will buy it. You're going to see that go down. It'll probably lose about 50% of its value. Striders, on the other hand, I don't think are going to lose 50% of their value, but they are going to lose a portion of their value for sure. And honestly, if you equate it object to object in terms of how many dollars are being lost, those are probably about the same. Like if you take a regular scapegoat and you say under this new economic conditions, it's going to lose $200, you're probably going to get about that on a Strider. You're probably going to lose about $200 if you bought it a few months ago compared to if you sell it in a few months, if not more. And we're seeing it. We're seeing the market soften, right? Like, for example, yesterday, there was the usual Saturday Strider drop, And there were copper production SMFs and a Batwing mixed strider custom, all retail prices, sitting there for 20 minutes, which may not sound that impressive for people not familiar with the strider market, but that is absolutely insane. You would have lost your mind if that happened 6 months ago. A mixed strider custom sitting at table price online for 20, 30 minutes. Crazy talk, crazy talk. And you saw that in the production knife as well. And, some people are making excuses and they're like, oh, it's just boring copper. Boring copper? I mean, if it was a 9-line aluminum, and for those not familiar with striders, I'm talking Greek, but if it was a 9-line aluminum, okay, I could give you that. But anything copper is, it's not like super special, but it's not normal. The fact that they were sitting there is just a sign of the times. You're going to see that more and more. I'm seeing it. Everybody's concerned. They're saving money. People are losing their jobs. They're concerned about losing their jobs. Layoffs are happening left and right. Cutbacks are happening all over the place. People are going to spend less money on non-important stuff, and things like collector knives is at the top of the list, right, of things that they will cut out. So that's what's going to happen. You can literally just look at the S&P 500. It'll give you an idea of where things are. So am I trying to be doom and gloom here? No, it's all part of the market. We're headed into what you would call a buyer's market, right? It's a good time to get a bunch of pieces that maybe you weren't able to get before. Sit on that cash, hold on to it, buy stuff on sale. Now, the downside is if you're one of the people that are part of the driver for this bad economy, meaning you don't have an income, then you won't be able to get anything anyways. So that is the catch-22. If you are fortunate enough to continue gainful employment like you have been, you will be able to scoop stuff up like crazy. Are we going back to, let's say striders, are we going back to the market we had 4 or 5 years ago? No, just like the S&P, it'll continue to trend up. Striders that you bought years and years ago will continue to be worth more. We were just in a bubble over the past 2 or 3 years, and that bubble is now burst, and we're in a dip, right? But if you average it out, the prices of collectible items like striders will continue to go up over the years. It's just in the short term, stuff you bought 6 months ago is probably going to lose a lot of its value over this coming year. So hopefully that clears it up a little bit. If anybody had any questions about that. Now, some of you people that don't collect knives and don't follow these things, this is going to sound bonkers to you. It's not even going to make sense. If you just buy, Wii knives for fun and use knives, then this probably doesn't matter to you or even make sense to you. But for those that are kind of more on the collector speculative side, it is what it is. Flippers are going to go away. Circling back to the beginning of this video, it's going to correct itself. We're not going to see flippers because, for example, the mixed strider custom that was up for 20 minutes at retail price, nobody's flipping that knife because it wouldn't even, it did sell, but it didn't sell at table super fast. So if somebody tries to sell that, they'd be lucky to get retail. They may have to take below retail on that knife. We're going to see that more and more. Flipper is going to go away with this softer market. That doesn't mean there's not going to be exceptions. There's always going to be those super hyped knives. There's always going to be those crazy releases everybody wants. The new maker, the new model, the new flavor, whatever. And those, flippers are never going to go away. They've always existed. But the prevalence of them is, right? Flippers selling quote unquote normal knives, what you could objectively kind of say as just normal knives, that's going to go way down, way down. It's not going to go all the way, but it's going to go way down. Flippers are not the ones driving the market. It's the opposite. The market is driving the prevalence of flippers. As soon as people aren't willing to pay over retail, flippers are not going to be motivated to buy. And it's going to happen fast. It's going to happen in a blink of an eye. We're already seeing it. Like with the striders, you are going to see more and more of these drops staying available because as soon as we send the signal to flippers to say, hey, you might not make money on this knife, they are going to pull back hard because it's kind of like a train, right? That gets going. It's hard to get it going, but once it gets going, it just barrels through. Same thing here. The reason things like Striders sell out so fast is because people have this understanding that it is a rock solid decision, right? Like flippers, let's say, flippers. I hate using that word. It makes it sound like there's some there's some special breed of human that are out there. They went to flipping school and that's their profession. They're just regular people trying to make a buck in this hobby, right? Some more serious about it than others, some more dedicated than others. It's not some hard and fast rule. But in the past, like with Striders, the reason they sell out so fast and the reason flippers gravitate towards those type of markets is because it's 100% safe. They know whatever pops up, just buy it. Doesn't matter if they want it. Doesn't matter if they have another one of those. Just buy the thing because they know they can sell it and make a couple bucks. And this accounts for regular people that wouldn't identify as a flipper. Me too. There was a time when if there was a Strider drop, I would just try. I would try. It didn't matter if I really liked it. I wasn't exactly sure it was going to pop up, but I'm like, hey, I can get it. And then if I don't care for it, or if it's not what I thought it would be, or if I already have one, I can just sell it and get my money back or make a couple of bucks, right? I mean, I didn't go into it with the idea of flipping, but I knew I could be safe if I bought something. That's going away. Flippers are going to be second guessing. They're going to be like, ooh, what's in the drop? Ooh, man, am I going to be able to make any money on that? Am I going to try for that one? I'm not so sure. I think I'm going to sit this one out. And it's going to create a domino effect where once people lose confidence in their ability to buy and sell these knives and get their money back or make money, it's really going to cascade down and you're going to see only people that really, really want the thing buying the knife. And flippers are going, the flipper scourge is going to go away as we know it. Mark my words, we'll touch back in 6 months and see how right I am. I'll do a follow-up video and see if I was on the mark or maybe I was wrong. What do I know? I'm not a professional. I'm not a stock trader. I just look at these things and think about these things. Comment down below if you think I'm right. Thanks for hanging out. Catch you later.